Hey everybody, Frugal Farmer here. This is a combination story. My father's brother's wife, which would be my aunt by marriage, her father stayed with them and he was in his 90s. He lived to be 100 and something. But he smoked filterless Camel cigarettes. His name was Mr. Edwards. He had been a fire chief and been a conductor on the railroad. Well, ended up my uncle met my aunt. She stayed in the top of the state, and however happenstance he met her. Well, my granddaddy had a rule. He'd call the chief of police or sheriff wherever they were from and talk to them about their family, any problems, what they were, and he did that for all his youngins. My mother even got checked out. Well, ended up my uncle was talking to his bride to be's daddy and told him his name. Well, he knew who his daddy was, my grandfather. He knew him, gave him a lot of information on him. He traveled a lot for his business. He'd been the conductor on the train and had got to be on friendly terms with my granddaddy. So when my uncle told my granddaddy who he was interested in marrying and who her daddy was, he said he's a good man. And I don't know that he called on him, but everybody else, if he didn't know him, there was a call made. Well, Mr. Edwards liked filterless Camel cigarettes. And I barely remember my granddaddy on my mama's side. And I couldn't even tell you what I called him. I don't remember. And, but Mr. Edwards smoked filterless Camels. Well, whenever I'd go up there to visit with my aunt, I might go up there and stay a weekend with him or something. And I was 11, 12. And we get back there talking to Mr. Edwards. He'd just be telling us all these old stories and stuff. Some of them were kind of PG-13 rated, but it's just all kind of stuff he'd tell us, and we'd just get the biggest kick out of talking with him. And he'd love for us to get back there and talk with him. Well, excuse me, I got to cutting Mr. Edwards' hair for him. And the way that worked, I'd take a razor, electric razor, go all over his head, and then I'd take and shave it for him. I'd have a little thing. He told me how he wanted it done. So from then on, that was my job. Couldn't nobody else do it but me. And I didn't mind. He'd sit there, we'd laugh and talk. Well, he had somehow run out of Camel cigarettes. And there was a little store up the road from where they lived at. And he gave me some money. He said, you go up there and get me some cigarettes. And back then, it really wasn't, as far as selling to kids, it wasn't that big a, problem. Because most of them they were getting it for their parents for the most part. And I wasn't wanting nothing to do with no filterless Camels. So I go up there and I asked the man for a carton of filterless Camels. Well, he ripped me a new one that I was trying to get these cigarettes for myself or sell them and all this other stuff. And, all I had to do was say no, but he said way too much. Well, it upset me. So when I was going back to my aunt and uncle's house, I saw a kid he was a little bit younger than me. And I told him what had happened. So he wanted to go in there with me to see Mr. Edwards' reaction. And so we went in there, and I told Mr. Edwards what had happened. So he wanted the number of that store because he barely could walk. And so my friend was able to figure out the road and all that because I weren't familiar, and there was a thick phone book there, not like where I was from. So got the number of that store. It rang, and sure enough, that guy answered. I recognized his voice, and I told him, I said, sir, my granddaddy wants to talk to you. I said, I was just up there and talk with you about those cigarettes. I put Mr. Edwards on the phone. He laid a cussing on that guy, and the guy didn't hang up. The guy sat there and listened to everything. And Mr. Edwards had been in the First World War. He was too old to hit the second one, but he'd been in the first. And he told me he was a vet. And he told me how old he was. I'll come up there and whip your A. He said, you can count on it. He said, well, here's the deal. He said, my grandson's coming back up there, and you're going to sell him cigarettes. If not, we're going to have a problem. So I still didn't know. So my friend wanted to walk up there with me. He weren't wanting to miss out on none of this action. He said, I'm going to. So Mr. Edwards gave us extra money. He said, y'all boys get y'all some candy and stuff up there. So we walked up there and got our candy and drank. Went up there to the counter, and the guy recognized me. He got that carton of cigarettes, had them on the counter, didn't say a word. But that was as funny as everything. And Anthony was laughing. I was trying to keep from laughing. So finally we got out of there. We both of us cracked up. But Mr. Edwards was a mess. I always considered him my granddaddy because I didn't have any. And I still see some of his grandkids. A lot of them are scattered. And I was telling his granddaughter about some of the stuff he told me, some of the nice stuff, and about the Camel cigarettes. She got the biggest kick out of that. And but gosh, it's been so many years ago. But thanks for stopping by and listening to the ramblings of Old Man. Share, comment, like, hit that subscribe button. God bless.